and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mildly Gothic. If you're new here, what I like to do is a variety of artsy things, often with a spooky or gothic twist. And today what I have is something really fun. So a few weeks ago, Instagram just decided to give me nothing but content of people bleach painting black fabric. Specifically a guy who I think runs a business doing hoodies and stuff. But I've known that bleach tie-dye was a thing, but I don't know why it never occurred to me that you could then actually paint on fabric with it. And I had this idea immediately for a jacket. Now I wanted a black denim jacket because I wanted something with more structure to it. I didn't want to just do a hoodie. So I needed a black denim jacket because I wanted to bleach paint a rib cage on it and then embroider flowers around it. Well, this is only the first part of that because the embroidery is going to take a little bit too long, but I didn't realize actually how easy it is to bleach paint, and honestly, I'm going to have a very hard time not reaching for a lot more of clothes in my wardrobe to customize this way because it's super easy. A few things. Bleach is dangerous. Bleach is toxic. You don't want to get it on your skin, anywhere near your face or your eyes. You want to be in a space with good ventilation. It is a harmful substance. So if you choose to do this at home, please be careful. You can find a bunch of blogs and stuff online on how to do this, and I'll talk about the different dilutions that I used as far as how to actually paint with it, because your only two options are bleach and water, and it's the different percentages of those that create the intensity of the tone. To me, this method of painting is very similar to subtractive sculpting when it comes to like wood carving, for one specific reason. It's once you do something, you can't undo it. Once you paint on the stroke of bleach, that is the darkest that area will now ever be. You can make it lighter, as in for a sculpture, you can take more away, but you can't put anything back. You can't add darkness back to the fabric. So you have to be really careful with painting like this because you don't want to accidentally lighten an area that's supposed to be really shadowed. I didn't necessarily get quite as much gradient and tone as I thought I was going to, but I think I still got enough that the image is really striking. So this is a long and rambly intro for a process that's actually surprisingly quick. So if you're interested, definitely stick around to the end so you can see the final product, and subscribe if you want to see part 2 of the embroidery that I put on this jacket and turn it into something pretty freaking awesome, in my opinion anyways. So if you got to this point, definitely give it a like. Tell the algorithm that you might want to visit this corner of the internet again. We'd love to have you. And with all of that said, let's get to it.
So the first thing I wanted to do before I ever touched my actual fabric was to test out different dilutions of bleach and water. I've never done this before, and I wanted to have some idea of the level of control I was going to have over the color before getting into this. How did things layer? How were the brush strokes? How did it taper off? All were different things that I really wanted to figure out. And so the different dilutions I was testing here, the top one is 100% bleach, the second one is a 1-to-1 ratio, the third one is about a 3-to-1 water to bleach ratio, and the last one was a cup of water that I just did kind of a single splash of bleach in, so like really diluted. Then I tried to just kind of draw with it to see how much control of the lines I had. Did the thin lines still show up really well? Any kind of blending going on? Basically, what were the properties of this paint? It's really interesting. The way that when you paint it on, how it slowly appears. It's really fast in the video, but it's kind of entrancing and relatively slow in real life. So once I was done with the test, it was on to try to move on to the real project. So now that I explained why I did the testing, let me explain why it wasn't really good enough. One, the denim of the jacket was very different than the fabric of the pants. They're kind of like a faux denim pant, so it wasn't truly the same material. And I also did not test with the chalk on any of my test little doodles. This is sidewalk chalk. You should be using Taylor's chalk. I didn't have Taylor's chalk and did not want to go buy it because I had technically chalk. So I decided to utilize whatever I had to paint out my initial drawing. But this is where I think I had some interesting oddities as far as how the final product came out. That jump cut is because I had to turn the camera off so that I could spend a little bit more time truly planning out the ribcage and how I wanted everything to go. And I know you can't see me painting much right here, but I'm using my lightest dilution of bleach and water, which is that same one, which is a cup of water with a splash of bleach, to just get that initial of the ribcage. I was so scared that everything was going to react so immediately, I wasn't going to have any control of the color. But I actually found out it took a lot longer to develop on this fabric. And again, I think part of that might be the chalk. I truly believe that the way that the bleach interacted with the chalk might have impacted the way it absorbed into the fabric. But once I laid out what was going to be my darkest tones, and that might sound counterintuitive, as far as bleach, but the less bleach, the darker the tone will be, the more bleach, the lighter. I went back through and tried to just darken a little bit more because, again, I wasn't noticing as immediate of a reaction as I did on the pants, but you can see through this sped up timeline that it is slowly starting to lighten that color away from the fabric. I actually like the color that it lightened to a lot more because it truly kind of looks more like bone. It's much more of a white tone than the orange from the pants. So I just went through. I believe I'm still using my lightest dilution because I was really afraid of over brightening some of those corners, because those bends where they fold around, I did not choose to do the other side of the rib cage, so I wanted it to look like they were disappearing into something. Let it sit and lighten for a little bit, and then I decided I kind of needed to move on to the vertebrae before I could really make any decisions as far as how this was going. At this point, you can truly see it lightening a lot, and you can kind of see the differences in where there was a lot of chalk versus where there wasn't. I don't have a reasoning or basis for why it reacted, why I believe that the reaction might have happened, but I do believe there was something there. So honestly, I decided to kind of wing the vertebrae. I had spent so much time drawing out this rib cage, and then I was like, you know what? Let's just go for it. So I started with, I knew for a fact that the brightest point was going to be the ridge down the center of the spine. So as I worked a few of the vertebrae, I used my 100% bleach to draw that center line, and then also those 2 dots on the left and right side, and then kind of my mid-tones to define the outer edge, and then start some shading in there to create some depth and dimension. I wanted to make sure I prioritized getting the brightest points as bright as I could, because then I could focus on shading those other areas and lightening them hopefully just the right amount so that they would appear the correct tone in the final product. It became easiest to just go all the way down and create the little U shape at the bottom of each vertebrae, and then use my 100% bleach to mark again those outside corners. I don't know if they necessarily follow the exact size and structure of an actual spine, but I mean, for somebody who does not know anatomy very well, I think I did an incredible job. It was really just trusting my gut as that I know how to paint and I know how to shade. I do believe the test was really important to just get an understanding of how this stuff layers, but if you have some confidence in yourself or, your art or shading skills, I think bleach painting is going to be right up your alley and you're not going to have a problem. I was really, really concerned, but as far as the process, I just kind of trusted that I knew what was going to be the very lightest shades and what were going to be more of the midtones. And as you can kind of see it developing in real time, you can see those difference in shades and those really bright ridges down the center of the back and those really bright points against the side of each vertebrae. And because I was starting to get such a good contrast in the vertebrae, I went back through and tried to brighten up the ribs a little bit more. The only other thing you need to know if you choose to bleach paint for yourself at home is how to take care of it as far as during this process. You do not want to let the bleach sit on your fabric for more than 2 hours. And that is something I found from a source somewhere. I was hesitant to let it sit for any amount of time, really past me being done with it. You can neutralize the bleach with some hydrogen peroxide, or simply you want to wash this as soon as you're done bleach painting. As soon as you are satisfied and done with your design, go ahead and throw it in the wash. That's what I did for mine, and I think it worked beautifully. It came out really, really nice. It removes all of the chalk, and you can truly see the level of color that has been lifted from your final product. So here's just a little bit of real time in the end as far as what it looks like. I'm really happy with this, and I cannot wait to move on to the next stage of putting this jacket together. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and definitely stick around and subscribe to the channel if you want to see how the rest of it turns out. Thank you so much for watching.